Okay, on the pivot pin for the brake lever shaft, and then for the end of the cable fitting, I'm just going to spray them with a little bit of lithium soap based grease. This winter I'm going to take the cables off. This one on the throttle, they're just tiny little things inside of a pretty narrow tube, so this winter when it's not riding, I'll take them off and completely lube them up. Right now is it's a pretty time-consuming task, and I don't know. The service manual doesn't really say anything about lubing the cable or how to do it itself. Whether or not you use some sort of really thin liquid graphite or whatever, because the sheath fits really tight around the throttle cable itself, so there's not a whole lot of play in there for oil or something to travel from one end to the other unless you completely take them off and then hang them. So I'm just going to do the pivot points, and as much as it gets done, I mean it's kind of redundant as to what it really needs. And I think I'm going to, I've been using some spray silicone, but I think I'm going to, or not silicone, but sprayed lithium grease. I'm going to get some a little tub of it and use it with a swabs to put it on, just a little easier and not quite so messy. I'll know better next time. Okay, we've got this all pumped out, cleaned out, vacuumed out. We stick these back in tentatively. Now, one thing I want to make a show on this is a lot of these bolts have a nutsert inserted into the aluminum frame, and let me go check to see if those things are aluminum or steel. Okay, I got my little screwdriver with a magnet on the end, and they're steel. No magnetism here. Okay, so I think I'm going to stick a little bit of grease on the threads just to keep it from corroding. Make it a little easier next time. One of the things they don't tell you in the manual, and they don't give you in the toolkit, this is a 3 millimeter Allen to get the left hand clamp off. So you're going to have some extra tools. And there we go. Okay, we can start putting the panel on this side back on again. All I have left now is to drain the engine oil and the final drive silent chain oil, and I've still got to check the spark plugs, so I'll leave all the panels off. I'm going to go around and attack the filter cover on the other side now. Okay, I'm going to try something different here. This time, when I'm putting it on, I added a little dab of anti-seize to each of the threaded holes. These screws that Yamaha uses, if you can see them, they've got a little shoulder right here that sets the amount that they can get sucked into or compress. And then you've got these little rubber cushions that keep the case pushed in once the bolt is down on this little shoulder here. Well, I'm going over to some, I believe these are 25 millimeter numbers, or 6 millimeter by 25 millimeter shouldered bolts, and I'm going to give these a try. I think they're going to work. I was even thinking of maybe in order to equal the shoulder here, there's at least a 1/4 of an inch beyond this that if I wanted to, I think I could get some 6 millimeter set screws and drive in all the way down, and then these would bottom in. But this is something I'm going to keep an eye on. It's semi-exposed, so it won't take too many panels to see if it's still loose. I don't even have to take the panels off. All I have to do is pull the cover off, and I can see whether the bolts holding this in are loose without taking any of the panels off. So let me put this together and see if this works. If not, well, it works. It's back on, it's tight, and the bolts on the 3 bolts that hold the case cover, or the filter cover in, seem to tighten down on something, so I could put just a little bit of torque on them. And then on these bolts or screws out here, I added just a hint of oil to the threads and then torqued them down just hand tight, and then tried to back them out. So I think I've solved that problem. So if you have that problem, the number 6 millimeter by 25 millimeter bolts seem to work and hold it in, but time will tell. Hope you don't have that problem, that the screws on yours were installed right. But remember, there was no anti-seize on any of my screws on this thing, so make sure you put some back in when you put it together. Otherwise, you may have problems later on from dissimilar metals corroding together. So onward and upward. I'm going to change the plugs now. Okay, you have to pull this little rascal out at the spark plug lead is in there pretty deep, and make sure you grab it someplace solid up around here and not on the wire. And then it's a really long neck little spark plug, and looking pretty good. It's about the right color too. So, is this being taken? Yeah. Okay. Check the gap on this one, and then on the other one, and that's another thing that's done. Also check for any oil leaks and that kind of stuff in here. Give the radiator a good check out too. Okay, this is where we also use our torque wrench, 13 newton meters, and that's what we got. Do the other thing when you're putting the spark plugs back in. Use the wrench to seat it all the way down. Never just thread it in a couple threads and then put a wrench to it. Never, ever, ever. Get it all the way down. I always put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads because it's going into an aluminum block. And also, while you're down there, check the fan. Make sure you haven't any sticks or debris or junk or leaves or a bunch of dragonflies or whatever up in there. It's kind of out of the way and you don't see it, and it's not really one of those things that calls out on the manual for looking at. But look at it says check out the radiator system, so but you don't necessarily always look at the fan. You're going to be looking at hoses and drips and those kinds of things. So make sure you check out the fan and wipe it down a little bit if you can get your fingers in there with a cloth. So all I have left now is oil change and the tune-up, and we can start putting panels back on. Another thing you want to make certain that you, if you're working on the spark plugs, is to put the two spray covers back on so that you can't get any water in there. Once you've done it, you'll know how deep those things are and how much water you can get in there. So make sure you do that. And another thing you want to do is underneath, get up here and check the nuts on your exhaust. Don't go reefing down on it, but those tend to work loose with the heat coming hot and cold, so give them a check. They're okay. And then just give a good, if you have to take a mirror to get underneath to scope out the bottom of the engine, go ahead and do that too. You never know what you might see down there. And there, that little